Right.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can handle it this time.
Yeah. This is, I am absolutely, this is more than we had at the annexation back in 2003 or when.
What was it? Yeah, whenever.
Yeah.
20 some years ago. Wow. Well, and more than the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And this, maybe it's just because we haven't given people enough information. Because it's all
We
information today, right?
Yeah, we haven't put much information out. I mean, part of it is because we kept hoping that it would.
I know. You know, it's unfortunate. You know, hindsight is. You know, I've talked to Brad about this long time. Hindsight is we should have just gone ahead and whatever $2 million just moved on. You know, sucked it up and push the building over. You know,
Right.
because we've already, as you know, we've already agreed to the design and the colors and all that stuff. You know, so
Yeah.
move on.
So how's your second day going?
It's going pretty good. I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drive back tomorrow.
It's nice to hear that you say you're still here. Give it another day.
Yeah.
So
One more day. One
Yeah,
more day.
my first day as mayor, we had done an LID, and the place was packed. They were really mad that we had assessed them. Second day, second meeting, a guy came in and placed us all under citizen's arrest.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm thinking, what's going to happen the third meeting?
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding.
You know,
What is gonna happen
we're in
there?
trouble.
Yeah.
I think this will be
Uh,
a good turnout, seems like.
yeah. I'm sure opinions could be. Okay. We all ready?
That's it.
Okay. I'll pause a moment.
Watch
I got. Oh, I was waiting for Carolina.
I don't know how I left
Welcome.
out. I might have stolen someone's spot, but I was
Okay.
like first, like
So-
right next to the handicap.
Thank you. All right, we will call this special city council meeting to order for April 29th, 2025, and it's 4 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Deputy Mayor Tudor. Councilmember Cooper.
Here.
Councilmember Irby. Here. Councilmember Graver. Here. Mayor Carrington.
Here.
Councilmember Hudson.
Here.
Councilmember Alcantara.
Here.
All right, if we could stand, Councilmember Irby, could I ask you to lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next is approval of the agenda. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve.
Your Honor,
I think we need a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
But, Your Honor, if we could, I would like to change the audience participation until after new business. Being an early 4 o'clock in the afternoon meeting, there's a lot of people that wanted to speak at this, and they weren't able to get off work and come in and at the 4 o'clock. So maybe to accommodate their wishes and needs, 'cause, I was thinking maybe we could change the audience participation until after new business.
All right. Okay, so that's an amendment. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? Councilmember?
Are we
Alcantara?
discussing just this amendment, or are we discussing this agenda?
Just this amendment
Okay.
at this point.
Okay, and then on this amendment, there are, and I applaud everybody for the ones who can make it out for a 4 o'clock meeting. It's my opinion, this is a meeting that definitely should have waited till a 6 p.m. start in a normal meeting. But because we're here now, I certainly want to hear from the audience. I think a better move is to add a second audience participation before council member comments. Let's not make everybody wait till we get through all of our discussions before we hear from the public. I think I would amend his amendment to say, let's add a second audience participation as letter I, make council member comments letter J, and have adjournment letter K. And I'll look for a second.
I would second that. Also, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes. What's that?
Yeah.
So we have,
First one.
okay. So can we have discussion on it, or? Right. Okay, so concerning the amendment to add a second one,
That's not the first one. Ken's first.
It goes back to second.
Oh, it does? All right, sorry.
so we work on the amendment to the amendment first. Okay. So does anyone wish to speak to the adding of a second?
I do have a question.
audience
I do have a question of the clerk. Under special meetings, I'm not sure that, is that required? What's required is the one audience participation, or in the special meeting, or is it similar to regular meetings?
Madam Clerk, yes, find a microphone.
There are no requirements. Oh, jeez, Louise. In a special meeting, sorry.
All right, so are we ready to vote on the amendment to add a second audience participation? Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
Mayor Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Irby.
Yes.
Councilmember Alcantara.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Councilmember Graver.
Yes.
Okay, so that amends the amendment. We're back to, or does that, should have that replaced it?
Yeah, that negates it, so you're
So we're back to approving the agenda. Okay. All right, so we're back to approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Okay, Councilmember Hudson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to propose an agenda amendment to strike the new business because it was not reviewed by our current city manager before being published or our legal counsel. I would also like to honor the guest appearance of Gary Wolf Architecture and the audience participations, and also would like to recommend, if we do strike that our city manager could invite the community development director to present to the council anything before his time is up with the city. And I would also propose striking executive session as our legal counsel is also not in attendance.
Second.
Okay, so that was, you want to remove all three items under new business?
Yes, because they were not reviewed by our legal counsel or our new city manager before being placed on this agenda.
All right.
Mayor,
Okay.
And also striking the executive session as we don't have legal counsel here for that as well. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Cooper.
thank you. Looking out at the audience, there's 100 people here or so, and they are here to learn and get information about the library. They want to know the funding. They want to know all the stuff that's going on, what the budget is, you know, all that information that they have been made aware of. And that's why I have so many people here, is they want to get that information. And I don't think eliminating that from this agenda is proper. And also on the executive session, it's the same thing. We're talking about the finances of the library. The longer we delay this, the longer that we're going to sit with no dirt moved. We have a sign back here that says, it's been 2+ years, where's our library? I'm absolutely in favor of getting a bulldozer and moving the dirt and putting a new library in. I think that's what all those people here are, at least to get the information and to hear about that. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Alcantara.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. They can certainly get all that without some of the things that are on this agenda. Respectfully, there's been no bigger advocate for the library than myself. And let me just say, after 2 years of waiting, our city manager's in her second day on the job. This agenda came through, of course, without her being able to look at it, without our city attorney being able to look at it. There's nothing wrong with listening to what everybody has to say, with listening to Gary Wolf give his presentation. Everything is already published for the record. It's already been published and sent out, so people can look over that if they want to. And we can ask, and hopefully as council we will, we can ask Gary Wolf questions about the library. We can ask Director Hansen questions about the library. But to rush this thing through without any legal review, without our city attorney present, without our deputy mayor present, they made this move to 4 o'clock a lot to accommodate me. I have a flight that leaves at 9 p.m. And this we didn't know about this until last Tuesday. We have regularly scheduled meetings the second and fourth Tuesday of every month. There's no need for this rush. Yes, it's been 2 years. I don't think giving our new city manager 2 weeks is going to make any difference in this timeline. So with all respect, I think we should pump the brakes, give our new person time to figure out all this information and hear from the public, and also hear the information from Gary Wolf. So I think we can have it all.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes, thank you. I also want to clarify that as this states, that is an information memorandum number 25-001. It states administrative recommendation that this is an is this microphone?
Yeah.
Working? Okay. The information memorandum is for informational purposes only and no action is required by council. And a concern with passing this without legal counsel review is the fact that this means that the city can accept up to $5,000 in a donation from somebody without our city attorney or without our city manager reviewing the donation or the contract stipulations to make sure that we can properly make sure that we accept the contract and that we can carry out the contract appropriately. So they're asking for us to be able to approve City of Palmer donation policies and contracts that our city attorney has not been able to review. So I do not think that that is appropriate. I do not think it is appropriate that our city manager has not had time to review a donation policy that goes under her, that then she doesn't have time to review. If then we want to go into the next thing, information memorandum number 25-002, memorandum regarding the Palmer Public Library construction budget, funding sources, and financing alternatives. Our city attorney has not had a chance to review these funding sources to make sure that these numbers that they have presented to you guys are the correct numbers, and neither has our city manager. I can sit up here and tell you right now that we do not know for sure that the library information insurance settlement is up to $4 million. So we can't promise you that if we approve this. We cannot promise you that we are getting a private gift of $1 million because they published this agenda without it going through an attorney, which broke the contract in the $1 million donation that we were given that said we were not allowed to publish her name. And our city attorney asked for that to not be sent, to be published in this agenda, and it was originally, and that's why you all have a revised copy, because now the contract was broken with that nice, lovely donor because her name was released in the contract. So hopefully they can she'll still work with us because they went against our contracted attorney to put this out and to push this meeting out. To make us look like bad people, we support the library, but we do not support things not going through our contracted legal attorney and through our city manager that is in this place right now. And that is why I'm asking for amendments so that we can hear from our constituents. We can still hear from you. We can still hear from Mr. Gary Wolf, and we can still hear from Mr. Hansen legally. And that is why I'm asking for the amendments, to respect everybody in the entire process. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you. I appreciate Councilwoman Hudson's comments, but you heard the key words here is like she mentioned, these are information memorandums. All they are is to provide information to the public, to let them know what's going on. They're not anything that we're going to vote on. It's just to provide everybody a copy of what we've found, what we're doing, what's happening currently today. It's their information, and I think that the public needs to hear this information, and so therefore I'm against this amendment. Thank you.
Councilmember Graver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My understanding is that what Councilman Hudson has stated is correct. I spoke with our attorney and she was not, to clarify for the audience, this meeting was called last Tuesday, giving us, I had to cancel something to be here. I'm sure a lot of you did too. And our city attorney is out because she had an emergency with her family and had to fly out of state. So she did not have the time or capacity to go over this special meeting agenda. And that was made clear to me as I had first downloaded the agenda before it was revised and saw the donor's name released, and I knew that wasn't supposed to happen. And so I'm disappointed that this meeting went through the way that it did and that everyone dropped things to be here. And I also am in support of the library, but I don't see how it would be wise to go forward with some of the items on this agenda without having them been reviewed by our city attorney as well as our new manager. Thank you.
Councilmember Irby.
I was informed or advised that this was going to be an informational meeting. And this is only my second meeting since being appointed to the council. I would like to get that information as well, as I'm sure everybody in the audience and the rest of the people on the council.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Sorry.
Councilmember Graver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This agenda is published online, so if anyone would like to read these items, they're more than welcome to look it up on the palmeralaska.org website. But as a council, if we were to review and accept this agenda as it is without having had our attorney and manager a chance to read it, that says that as a council, we approve of what's written there, and we don't feel prepared, at least I don't feel personally prepared to do that without having our attorney and our manager look it over. So while it might seem like just an information situation, I think I don't want to put my name on it as having approved that.
Mr. Mayor.
Let me just add, I think Deputy Mayor Tudor had brought up concerns about there is one action memorandum on this agenda. And so I believe it was interim manager had commented in an email saying, this is something that, we could have it, we could discuss it, but then we can postpone it until the next regular meeting. So I just wanted to comment on that discussion. Councilmember Alcantara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate that comment, but along the lines of what Councilmember Graver had to say, it's not an all or nothing situation. We can hear audience participation. We can hear from Gary Wolf. We can hear from Mr. Hansen. Everybody has the same information, at least that I have. I have no other information than what's on this 29-page agenda that anybody can get off of our website. So there only new things we're going to hear are what the public thinks, and audience participation is why we should have two of them, and in what Gary Wolf's going to present to us and what Mr. Hansen's going to present. There's no need to approve an agenda that has not been looked at by our city attorney, and some grace and some fairness for our city manager. I feel like we've already painted her into a corner by saying, hey, day 2, we're going to have a special meeting, and instead of being able to set your watch by a second and fourth Tuesday to have meetings, we're trying to rush something through here, whether it's the action memorandum or just the information. The information's out there for everybody to see. No one is trying to hide anything from anybody. We're just trying to be respectful of our new employee. And, we have 3 employees, a city clerk, a city manager, and a city attorney. And all 3 of them have to work for all 7 of us, which isn't the easiest job in the world to have 7 bosses. You need to realize that that's what happens. You have to have conversations and be able to work with 7 different people. And I think we need our attorney here for this meeting. She can't be here because of a family emergency. And I think out of respect, we need to pass this amendment and just have the agenda that has audience participation, that has Mr. Wolf, and if the city manager, our employee, calls her employee, Mr. Hansen, forward, then we can hear from him. That's the best case scenario, I think, of what's going to happen here in the next hour and 57 minutes before I have to head to Anchorage. Thanks.
All right. Councilmember Graver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may ask since you moved Councilwoman Hudson, what your thoughts are on keeping that action memorandum under new business as the deputy mayor had suggested a possibility of, just to discuss and to maybe postpone it or table it until the next meeting?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember Hudson.
Are you asking to postpone the new business? Is that what you're asking? I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember Graver.
Thank you. No, I'm just asking what your thoughts are on keeping under, I think it's under H2, or actually, it's the second item under new business. It's action memoranda number 25-045. Deputy Mayor, the mayor had suggested possibly keeping that item and just discussing it and then tabling it on making a decision until the next meeting. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts were on doing that.
I agree on discussing it. I just, before anybody is voting on it, I think that it's important for the city manager and the city attorney to be able to discuss that and make sure that all of the details that are in the fundraising campaign are legal and correct, and that all parties feel comfortable entering into that capital fundraising campaign agreement. And so I think we could keep that to discuss and to hear from the public on. But like I said, my concern with the information memorandums is that they do not need council action, and it automatically passes the policy without being reviewed. So I could say in my amendment that under new business 2, we keep action memorandum for discussion, and then we table the vote until the next meeting when they've had a chance to review. And then we strike 1 and 3, and also executive session as we have no legal counsel present. Thank you.
So you were amending your amendment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, to add discussion for action memorandum, as long as there's no vote tonight, so that they have a chance to review those contracts as well, our legal counsel and also the city manager, before it's agreed to.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Looking for a second.
Second?
Okay.
I didn't know if Councilman Alcantara needed to second or approve that. Okay. I just wanted to say that possibly during that action memorandum is when we should say we are postponing. So we probably can't do that right now. It should have to be during the memorandum. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So are we ready to vote on the amendment to the amendment? Correct. Okay. Madam Clerk, if you could.
And that is?
That is to add
Leave 2.
Right, to leave 2 in there for new business.
Okay, I just want to be really clear. So it's communications and appearances with Mr. Wolf, E, audience participation, F, G, new business 2, keeping, striking 1 and 3, striking H, adding, or I guess making H the audience participation, the second one, and then so that more people have a chance to speak, and then also then keeping council member comments, and then the adjournment.
So we've combined.
Councilmember Cooper.
So we've combined now the
We're
two amendments.
supposed to use microphones.
So we've combined the 2 amendments into now one. So all right. So one.
It's an amendment to an amendment.
Yeah, the amendment is to leave 2, strike 1 and 3, or just leave 2. Yep. That's the amendment to start with.
Okay.
And then the rest, the next amendment will be eliminate them all.
No. So the First Amendment would be.
Better get your microphone.
Right. Oh. Let's see if it's better. Is that better? Okay. So the First Amendment is the Second Amendment. Actually, it goes second to first. So the Second Amendment would be to leave in item G2, Action Memorandum 25-045, and you would vote on that first, and then go back to the original amendment made by Ms. Hudson, which would add that in, and then the lettering that she just stated, if that's clear, right?
Okay. So we ready to vote
First one's adding.
for the second one, which is to add in 2 or leave 2, whatever. Okay. Madam Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Certainly. Councilmember Braber.
Yes.
Mayor Cooper.
Yes.
Councilmember Alcantara.
Yes.
Councilmember Irby.
Yes.
Mayor Carrington.
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes.
Unanimous on that.
Okay. So now we're back to the amending the agenda that has been amended. All right, any more discussion? Are we ready to vote on amending the agenda? Councilmember Alcantara.
Yeah, let's just make sure we're clear what we're voting for. We're amending the agenda to strike 1 and 3 and executive session. Make sure everybody's crystal clear on that. A yes vote strikes 1 and 3 and strikes executive session. Is that correct, Mr. Mayor?
I believe that's as I understood it, yes. Okay. Yes.
It might be beneficial for Councilmember Alcantara with his booming voice to read the lettering and what's under each letter so we're all clear on what the new agenda will contain, if you were so
Say again?
kind. Can you read the lettering all the way down so we know exactly what we're
Sure.
coming up for? And I think
Sure.
your voice will carry
Yep.
it.
I think she did that already, but we'll do it again. Okay, we're going to amend it. We've already gone through the first three letters. We're going to improve the agenda, D, communications and appearances by Gary Wolf, audience participation, F, and G2 is action memorandum 25-045 remains. The information memorandums now 1 and 3 under G, and the executive session H would be eliminated. H becomes audience participation, second audience participation to hear from the public. I is council member comments, and J is adjournment. Thank you.
All right. So, Madam Clerk, if you can call the roll, please.
Councilmember Alcantara?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Mayor Carrington?
No.
Councilmember Graver?
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper?
No.
Deputy Mayor? Oh, wait, who did I miss?
Me?
Oh, sorry. Councilmember Irby?
No.
Okay, so the amendment fails, so we're back to approval of the agenda. Any more discussion?
I have to make a
Alcantara?
comment, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember
Apologize
Alcantara.
on behalf of myself that it had to occur this way. There are too many legal entanglements to proceed. Yeah, it's going to make it a little easier to make my flight, but I'm really saddened that 3 individuals don't want to hear from the public and decided not to have audience participation. It's just the way things happen sometimes. My apologies.
I thought we added in, Madam Clerk, didn't we add in the second audience participation on the earlier amendment? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Councilmember Graver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May I ask, since you didn't make a comment, what your thoughts are on moving forward with this agenda without the attorney having and the new manager having looked at and approved it?
Well, I believe it's been mentioned, most everything in here is informational. The only action item we've already kind of discussed that we wanted to discuss it and then postpone it. So everything else is informational. And so I want to get the information out there. I want to hear from staff about the informational items so we could ask questions, et cetera.
Mr.
So
Mayor.
that is my desire.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Alcantara.
In the absence of your deputy mayor, you guys decided that you're not going to hear a second audience participation. You just
No.
voted against the amendment.
I believe it was added in on one of the earlier amendments. It's already been added in.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. Can I have a discussion about executive session?
Okay, so, well, hang on. So we have a second audience participation on the agenda at this point. Okay, just making sure we're clear on that. Okay. Councilmember Alcantara.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The 3 of you want to have the agenda as was presented without the city manager and city attorney having the ability to look at the business items. You want to have an executive session at a train depot where windows are everywhere. Let's be transparent and hear from the public, but let's not push forward an agenda rushed forth on our city manager's second day because of some political shenanigans. This is just, it's upsetting. I wish I'd have just said, hey, I can't make it because I got a plane to catch. This is a very unfortunate day in Palmer's history. We have 75 people here that want to participate, and you're going to keep them from doing that because you want to have things that aren't approved by our attorney or looked at by our city manager put forth on the agenda. It's just so frustrating.
So I take it from that, your suggestion you'll vote no on the agenda. Approval. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you. Just to bring back what Mr. Alcantara has been saying all this time, this information is available on the website. So if everybody has the availability to use the information on the website, the attorney and the city manager had the same availability as all the rest of us to look at this on the website. So we can't say that they haven't had an opportunity to review this when, in fact, they have had the opportunity, regardless of the fact that it's our city manager's second day. I appreciate what you're saying, but I think the audience needs to hear what we're doing, and we need to pass this agenda and move forward so we can get these people talking and listening, and we can move on.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. Point of order. Point of order.
Councilmember Hudson.
Mr. Mayor, did the attorney or to the clerk, I'm not sure which of you would like to answer, did the attorney approve this agenda before it was published online?
I don't.
The
I don't
city
believe-
manager wasn't here. Miss.
Okay. My understanding is, Madam Clerk.
The attorney does not approve the agenda, first of all. So that's no to your question, your specific question.
There you go. Big turn off. Councilmember Graver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That is incorrect. The attorney is part of the process, and if we're bringing forward a policy, it is the job of our contracted attorney to make sure that the policy is in favor of the city. I get that this is an information memorandum, but I, as a council, I have had enough of making this council making decisions and having executive session and moving forward with policy without contacting and consulting our attorney. We've made mistakes in the past that I'm sure everyone is aware of, and I am not doing that again. The attorney spoke with me and said that she did not have time to look over everything. And the fact that this is a revised edition of the agenda and it had to be changed because there was something that the attorney would have caught if she had been given the proper amount of time to go through the agenda and take it out herself before it was published, that's embarrassing. And I don't want to see that happen with anything that's on this agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes, thank you. Question for our clerk. You're shaking your head no. Do you disagree that it was wrong for the name to be released on the donor? What you're talking about, you weren't, Mr. Mayor, if I may. Miss.
Councilmember Hudson, you had follow-up?
Yes, thank you. You weren't listening to what Councilwoman Graver was saying when you were shaking your head no?
Okay. How?
I won't comment.
Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you. I just want to remind the council that if this agenda is not approved, this meeting is over. And so I don't think that we want to have 75 plus people that are here in the audience want us to say, thanks for coming, we're done. So I would hope that we would approve this agenda, and then we can talk about this stuff as it comes up.
All right. How about, I know it's unusual, I will make a motion to amend the agenda where we postpone the executive session to our next regular meeting.
Second.
There's a second. So that's kind of my compromise. That would be postponing the thing that our attorney would be involved with to our next regular meeting.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember Hudson.
So if we approve this agenda, then we are approving a donation policy that a department head can accept up to $5,000 without anybody else in the city reviewing that donation, the donation contract, or anything having to do with the donation. It just goes into an account, and the department head is the only one that sees that, because that's what this is, the donation policy. So I just want to be clear that you're agreeing that $5,000 can be donated to the city without the city manager or the city attorney reviewing it if we approve this agenda.
Well, I believe with a new city manager, the new city manager may make some changes to administrative policies, and that's up to her. So I guess I am not concerned with this policy that you're so worried about.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember
If I may,
Alcantara.
I think the time to be worried about it is before you let it go through. I mean, the time to be worried about it is now, and allow our city manager that time. How about in the essence of fairness, we at least remove that number one from here, knowing that it's just not ready for prime time and that our city manager's in her second day. I'm a little nervous about department heads accepting money on behalf of the city. Even if we accept it, we don't have a chance to look at it, amend it, say city manager has to be informed of this. A department head could just accept the money without the city manager even being aware. And that's the wrong way to do city policy. I think the smarter thing would be to remove this one from the agenda. This citywide donations is not why people showed up here. They showed up here to do the public library construction budget and to let their voices be heard. Have double audience participation. Keep the part about capital fundraising campaign, and I'll even say keep the part about the memorandum regarding the public library construction so people can know what the dollar figures are without having to get out their iPads and scroll down the pages. So how about that for a compromise?
Was that an amendment?
Yeah, I'll put that as an amendment.
Which was?
Removing information memorandum 25001, citywide donations.
Would it be removing, or can we postpone? Or what is? Right. Okay. All right.
Ms. Mayor, I have a question on that.
Is there a second?
Second, and that's two amendments on the table, so we need to vote, correct?
Correct. Councilmember Cooper.
Thank you. It's probably edification for myself. So this is City of Palmer donation policy. It's information informing the City Council of this policy. The way I read it is that we get information on how this policy actually works, and then subsequently we would take a vote in a future meeting that we would then vote to approve this policy. Is that not correct?
Interim manager.
It's an information memorandum. This is an information memorandum on administrative policy. So it's administrative policy. The city manager can change it anytime. It's just informing council of what the policy is. Council is not invited to approve it, but can direct that it be changed.
Okay. Councilmember Irby.
So all we're doing is listening and hearing what this policy is, and then technically it's being accepted, but the manager, city manager, could come along and change it at any time, and then that's when the city council would then vote whether to accept it or not.
Interim manager Dementi. It's being brought to council as an administrative policy. So a council can direct that it be changed, but this is the policy that the city has. It's not, council's not being invited to approve it at all at this time.
So you're saying it exists now?
I'm saying it exists now.
Okay, there we go. Follow up, Mr. Councilmember Irby?
Yeah, so it's already in existence. We're not voting to pass it. We're not voting to get rid of it. We're just getting information on what's in it. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Alcantara.
I appreciate that, Mr. Diamante. If that's the case, then I would definitely recommend we postpone this informational piece until May 13th. This isn't why people showed up tonight. They showed up for audience participation and to hear about the Palmer Public Library. So if we could delay that, we don't want to get high-centered, especially me, on that presentation and waste that time when I'm here to hear from the public. So please, let's postpone this until May 13th.
I guess you're not understanding. It exists now, is what Mr. Dementi just said. So
I understand it exists now. I understand. I don't want to waste the time on this presentation when we're here to hear from the public. I don't want to waste the next 95 minutes that I have a hard stop at.
Okay. So, Madam Clerk, where are we at?
I'm assuming that Councilmember Alcantara would like to. I'm assuming that Councilmember Alcantara is wishing to withdraw his motion for amendment number 2, and the second would have to withdraw. Is that what you were requesting? Because it's in play. So,
What is the motion that delays this until May 13th?
well, we need to vote on the first one, or you can remove it and redo it to the to make it specific to the next meeting. So I would suggest that you can either. We're going to have to vote on what you requested, or either that or you withdraw, and then the second would withdraw, and then you can start over. That's the cleanest way to do it, so that's up
Okay,
to you.
I'll withdraw that first amendment.
And then I second that, and then you.
All right. Okay, so where are we at now?
Councilmember Alcantara, if you would make a motion, please, to move that piece of legislation to the May 13th council meeting.
Make the motion to move information memorandum 25001 until the regularly scheduled May 13th meeting.
Second.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions on that? Okay, so now we're voting on postponing 25-001 information memorandum to May 13th. Correct, okay. Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please.
Councilmember Alcantara?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Mayor Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Graver?
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper?
Yeah, for expediency, yes.
Councilmember Irby?
Yes.
I believe so. Okay, so are we back to the agenda?
Back to your amendment.
Oh, to postpone the executive session, okay. So now we're on the amendment to postpone the executive session until May 13th. All right, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll, please, when you're ready.
I'm ready. Councilmember Cooper?
Yes.
Councilmember Irby?
Yes.
Councilmember Graver?
Yes.
Mayor Carrington?
Yes?
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Alcantara?
Yes.
Unanimous?
Okay. So we still have to approve the agenda. As amended. Once or twice. Okay, Madam Clerk, if you could call the roll to approve the amended agenda.
Councilmember Alcantara?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Mayor Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Irby?
Yes.
Councilmember Graver?
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper?
Yes.
Unanimous?
All right. So the agenda is approved. All right. Is our architect, Gary Wolf, here? I don't know. Ah, there he is. So we have a communications appearance with Gary Wolf Architecture. And they're stealing a microphone to get up there to him.
I'm not the mic that they want.
Mayor, City Council members, members of the community. I'm grateful to be up here, and thank you for inviting me up here to give you an update on the progress for the Palmer Library. It's been a long project, but we're coming into landing here. We're about 2 weeks from completing.
Bring it up closer.
Really, it makes noise.
Yeah, up closer.
All right, there you go. So it's been, we're about 2 weeks from being completed with the drawings. I want to thank you all for all your hard work, and all the community members for all their input, and the library staff, and Brad Hansen for project managing for the City of Palmer. It's been a fairly smooth process, although it's been a long process. So we're in the process of dotting I's, crossing T's, getting the drawings completed. And we're hoping that moving forward that we'll be able to put this out to bid relatively quickly. I know that you've got a lot of things to do to figure that out. The bidding environment is pretty uncertain right at the moment. We've been working with an estimator for the last year and a half to try to keep the project within the stipulated budget. And we felt pretty good about that until about March. And now it's unclear with all of the trade tariff talk. Talking with general contractors, they haven't seen any escalation in price yet. But a lot of suppliers are not holding quotes, and so that adds a lot of uncertainty. The recommendation is that the project get put out to bid as soon as it can be put out to bid, because probably their costs will be going up. I feel like we're in pretty good shape right at the moment. We've done all we can to try to mitigate the escalation in cost. We have about $1 million in deductive alternates set up in the drawings, and that's one of the things we're doing over the next 2 weeks, is making sure that all of those pieces are in place, so that when it does go out to bid, that there's some relief valve in there for the bid. We anticipate that if it does go, when it does go out to bid, that it will take about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks, for the bidders to be able to put a price on the project, and then probably another month for it to get awarded, something like that. So likely, if you're able to put it out here in the next month or two, it will probably be late August or September before they can start construction. And then it's about probably 5 months to get a steel package landed. The contractor could get the site prepped, possibly the foundations in. Submittals will be processed over the course of the winter. All of the materials will be ordered, and then anticipating about somewhere around a 16 to 18 month construction period. And so probably you'll take occupancy of the building in the early spring of 2027 right now. So that's about sort of where the project is sitting, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Does council have any questions for Mr. Wolf? Guess not.
Perfect.
Mr. Mayor? If I may?
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes. Mr. Wolf, I just wanted to take a second to say thank you so much for coming out and giving us that information. I really appreciate all the work that you put into that. Thank you.
All right. Next is audience participation. So we will open audience participation. Yes, please. And we get 3 minutes per person. Our code actually has a 30-minute limit for audience participation. What I'm planning is that we'll keep to the 30 minutes for the first one and then take the governor off for the second one. Please start with your name.
Good evening. I am Beth Scow. I was the Palmer Public Library Director until January 10th of this year, when I retired from the city with 15 and a half years. Library services have evolved from a chicken coop with books to a full-service facility. The Palmer Public Library provides the community with resources to lead to a successful life, complete customer service that provides access and navigating information. Everyone is welcomed and served with excellent customer service. Several government agencies point their customers to the Palmer Public Library for help. What does that mean? The courthouse sends people to the library to look up and print documentation and legal information. DMV sends people for their driving manual. They don't print copies anymore. The library printed and bound a copy for circulation. Visitors are also able to use computers to take the DMV practice tests online that are on the Palmer Public Library website. Job Center in Wasilla sends people to Palmer Public Library to help creating resumes, cover letters, and help searching and applying for jobs online. The Corrections Center releases people in the morning. They come to the library to research and fill out documentations online. They are also helped to find bus schedules to visit the Wasilla Recidivism Office. Tourists from the cruise ships visiting Palmer come to print out tickets, update their information in email or Facebook family. PFDs. Patrons come in to access PF applications, either paper or online. Staff sit and help patrons navigate the website, answering questions like, what is my email address? IRS forms can be found or printed from online. Grandparents with new devices come in to learn to use their new devices from staff. There are many people without internet or devices at home. People from the community come to the library to access the internet and to receive help navigating the information found online. Everyone is welcomed. Meeting rooms. There is a need for small meeting rooms to accommodate tutors and children, online courses, parents that are required to meet with appointed officials to be with their children. Because of the evolution of the library services layout and design do not meet the needs of staff to manage and provide the services in this ever-changing world. Palmer needs and the community deserves a new facility of this nature, meeting the needs of future generations. The facility would promote flexibility to serve now and in the future. A new library of this design will contribute to the downtown image that shows Palmer is looking at the future and moving forward. Help the library provide the service of your community. Thank you.
Frank Bell.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Frank Bell. I would just like to say that I'm so happy to finally see some progress on moving this project forward. It's been over 2 years now since the library collapsed, and this community has been patiently waiting with library employees as well as users operating out of a grossly insufficient space during that time. To their credit, the library employees have done an amazing job keeping their programs running and keeping as many resources as possible available to our community. And I think myself and the vast majority of people in this community have been excited to hit the ground running on this project, and it appears we are seeing some movement towards that with tonight's agenda, which is excellent news. Between the state's contribution, the insurance settlement, private donations, fundraising efforts by the Friends of the Library and other entities, it appears we are well on our way to covering much of the cost and significantly reducing the amount the city may have to bond. I can only imagine that once we have the new plans finalized, the ability to raise even more funds will increase. Despite that, I'm willing to bet you will still hear from some people who want to shut this project down. It's not a coincidence that these will be the same 3 or 4 people who for years have regularly showed up to every public meeting they can, calling librarians Satanists, pedophiles, groomers, Marxists, and indoctrinators. I'm sure their testimony will once again start with the super convincing, I love libraries, but, and their objections will once again be disguised as concerns about property taxes, or conspiracy theories about intentional snow removal negligence, insurance fraud, backroom deals for office space, voter manipulation, maintenance costs, funding source corruption, or whatever Pizzagate-style dystopian fantasy their Facebook echo chambers have cooked up this week. But the obvious reality is they simply don't want to see libraries or librarians get a win. Yeah. But just know that here in the real world, the vast majority of this community is firmly behind this project and excited to see it move forward. The library provides an extraordinary resource for this community that goes well beyond books, which is why an overwhelming majority of voters approved the bond for this project and have been patiently waiting to see it move forward for 2 years now. So please, let's keep this project moving forward so we can all finally see this amazing resource for our community restored. Thank you.
Marilyn Parker.
Good evening. Hello. I'm Marilyn Parker, and I just want to share that I support as much resource for this community as we can manage. I so much appreciated being able to use the library rooms for meetings, with students, with my students at the high school. My students used it, my children used it, I have used the libraries. I am using the library now. It's not a physical, it's the Libby, especially with the audiobooks, but it's another kind of resource that this community provides. I encourage everybody to support as much resource as you can. I appreciated it so much. I want to be able to provide that resource for other people. Thank you.
Joy Bailey.
Good evening. My name is Joy Bailey. I'm your current library director. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I'm here to ask for your support in moving the building project forward. The fact that our community had outgrown the former library was well documented in a 2004 needs assessment and the City of Palmer Comprehensive Plan. Plans to expand the library building were drafted back in 2006 with an intent to evaluate the need for another expansion in 10 years. Neither expansion happened, and if space was an issue in 2006, it is even more so now. Our services, collection, and number of visitors has increased over the years, while our space has only decreased. We're very grateful to be providing library services to the community, but operating out of multiple rental locations is far from practical. The library is no longer centrally located. School traffic and a dangerous intersection can make it difficult for people to visit, especially on foot. The building and its small parking lot are shared with other tenants. Space is tight, building accessibility is an issue, and daily travel between storage and the library takes time that could be better spent elsewhere. Despite our challenges, our usage stats are something I am proud of. Among the Mat-Su libraries, we consistently have monthly circulation numbers that are second only to Wasilla's. Last year, we provided library services to over 36,000 visitors. Over 67,000 items were borrowed, and 2,900 people connected to our internet. While I'm proud of these numbers, you should know that they're nowhere near what we could do. At our old location, we saw over 109,000 visitors in 1 year. In that same year, patrons borrowed over 153,000 items, and 28,000 people came in to access the internet. So that's a snapshot of our library's usage, but usage is only one factor. The value our library adds to the community and the impact it has on individuals' lives are not easy to quantify, but are no less important. The library is a place to gather and create social connections, access information, promote self-improvement, fuel creativity, access technology, play and learn with no financial barriers. Data from studies show that public libraries can act as economic boosters. I think it's fair to say that 109,000 people didn't just stop at the library while they were out, as wonderful as the library is. Many of them also stopped for coffee, for lunch, or went shopping. The library may not directly generate revenue, but it is an attraction that indirectly contributes to the local economy. It's a community hub that belongs in the center of Palmer. You all have the chance to be part of creating something that will enrich the lives of current and future generations. You can make your mark on Palmer. The library is worth investing in. Please do everything you can to move forward with rebuilding as soon as possible. Thank you.
Michael Kircher.
Hi, my name is Michael Kircher. My wife and I have been in the city of Palmer for 40 years. And I have a rhetorical question for you. How many of you have actually toured the other libraries surrounding us, from Big Lake to Will to Sutton? They all have pretty well modern, beautiful libraries, well thought out, well designed. Quite frankly, the fact that Palmer doesn't have a library now and hasn't for several years is an embarrassment to the city. You need at least to get over to Wasilla and take a look at their library. I mean, come on. We've had this fighting going on back and forth with Wasilla for forever, and it's embarrassing that Wasilla actually has a modern, beautiful library and we don't. So it's time that we stop goofing around and get this thing moving. Now, I found out this morning, I didn't know that the city is planning to spend $300,000 to fix to remove the railroad tracks out here. That's been going on for a long time, and I don't think that there's any reason that can't be put off for a few years and take the $300,000 and use it to demo the current library to get the process going. My wife and I were walking up to the library when it collapsed. 15 seconds later, we would have been in the library. And right now, it presents a danger. I'm kind of surprised that nobody has gotten into it, used it for drugs and other things. So let's get this thing moving. No excuses. Thanks very much.
Phyllis Kircher. Okay. All right. Janelle Gagnon.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and welcome to new City Manager. Ms. Circle, am I saying your last name correctly? Welcome. Thank you for holding this special meeting regarding plans for a new library building and for providing an opportunity for community members to share their views about it. My name is Janelle Gagnon, and I live near Bradley, Kepler Lakes area, so I have a Palmer address, and I'm very close to the official city limits of Palmer. I volunteer, shop, recreate, and use the library in Palmer, but I don't have a Palmer address that allows me to vote here, which is unfortunate. But just for some context, I'm a past president of the Matsu Library Board, a past president of the Friends of the Palmer Public Library. I hold a master's degree in education for both classroom instruction, grades 5 through 12, and library instruction and management, K through 12. I've taught preschool through 12th grade in either classroom or in the library off and on for over the last 25 years in Oregon, California, and here in Alaska. 10 of those years, I was a stay-at-home mom who used the public libraries a lot for story time, for sing-along classes, for playgroup meetups, to check out books for our family. And when we would go on vacation as a family, we would often find the public library wherever we landed. 2 days after we moved to Palmer nearly 10 years ago, we had all of our library cards, and I have a fun picture of my then 8 and 12-year-old and I flashing our new cards happily. When my daughter was in 7th and 8th grade at Palmer Junior Middle School, it was an easy walk for her from the school, and she would volunteer shelving books mostly. I don't think I would let her make that walk today with the library where it is, if she was still that age. She has great memories of how cozy and warm it felt on a winter's day to enter the library after walking there from school, both because the temperature was, of course, much warmer than outside, but also because she was greeted so warmly by the library staff. She felt needed and appreciated at age 12. And her volunteer work gave her some new skills and a sense of purpose. I would like to express my gratitude to the library staff and to thank recently retired Library Director Beth Scow for her 15 years of service and for coming tonight to share with the council and community members in attendance her wisdom from real lived experience of the multitude of ways the library has been used and continues to be a need. In conclusion, it makes me sad and confused, actually, when I drive into Palmer every day and pass the colorful wooden sign perched on the edge of our town that declares Palmer to be Alaska at its best, quote unquote, only to drive past the old library building with its large wound covering the greater part of one side that now has been like that for over 2 years. That doesn't seem like Alaska at its best. Libraries are typically regarded as a part of those essential services one finds in a town or city. It services everyone in a town, and the temporary building, while I and others have been grateful that it exists, is definitely not adequate in size. The old library was already bursting at the seams and almost always full of people. A town that declares itself to be the best in the entire state can offer needs the entire state can offer needs a library that meets the needs of the people it serves. We all know that people from outside Palmer use Palmer's library just as people from Palmer use other libraries in the Mat-Su. And I would like to concur with the gentleman who mentioned that there are other libraries in the borough that have been built since I lived here, and they're so beautiful. They're just wonderful places to go into. So let's get the new library built. Let's provide a beautiful, robust public space where all people of socioeconomic status and demographics can get their information and recreational reading needs met. Thank you.
Thank you. Maggie Obby, if I said it right.
Sorry, no, it's still Obi, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. I feel like I've reminded you of that before, but it's okay. My name is Maggie Obi, and I want to thank the City Council for allowing this meeting to happen tonight. I know you all sounded very surprised about how quick it was, but I hope you realize that a lot of people in the room that are sitting here today do not feel like this was a quick meeting to happen. We've been waiting and waiting for the library, and so it feels like this was a necessary meeting. Welcome also to our new city manager. Sorry, I jumped in without saying that. I did not write something up, so I'm just speaking from the heart. I am a city resident. I live in Palmer. I am a Palmer voter, and I voted for the bond that we passed to build our library, and it feels like, as a voter in Palmer, I don't know why this has not happened yet. I have spoken to friends who were like, oh yeah, we voted for that. Where, why are we having to still go to city council meetings to tell you guys how important the library is to us? And I've spoke to the city council, at least 10 times in this span of time of 2.5 years. And it's starting to feel very ridiculous. So I really hope that this meeting spurs you forward toward movement. Hopefully you were listening to the presentation by the architect and just realizing we still have to wait another 2 years before we can set foot into this new building. My daughter, she started going to the library when she was a baby, and when that building collapsed, she was 3.5 years old. She won't be able to go into our new library until she's 8. So that is kind of crazy. We do go to the current library, and it's where it is now, and it's grossly inadequate. If you have not been in there, please go in there. It's just not big enough. And I really applaud the librarians for all the hard work they do to try to make it work, but it's not working. We need a new building, and we need to approve this as soon as possible, because we all know that the prices are about to skyrocket out of the roof, and then what's our excuse going to be? That we can't afford it. So please just be moved to action. We all really, really want that and need that. Thank you.
Carol Obi. Ryan Obi.
Hi, I've been here in front of you numerous times, and every time we got to talk about this. It's getting kind of old, and I'm not from the city of Palmer. I live you're right on the boundary of my property, and someday you'll probably add me, and then I can vote, which would be great. He said because of what's going on and the tariffs and everything, I bought this phone. It's a new phone. It's an iPhone 16. And I used to have an iPhone 8. And it was getting really old. It wasn't working. It was having problems. But then when all this started happening with products from China and tariffs and everything, I was like, I got to get a new phone right now, or it's going to be more expensive. Prices don't go down. When we have inflation, it doesn't go down. The prices just stay what they are and keep going up. It's going to keep getting more expensive. We need to get something done. Spending 45 minutes on the agenda is ridiculous. You guys need, you need to get things done. Is this why it's been 2.5 years? We got to get something done. This town needs a library. Oh, look at all you guys. We all want a library. It's time. Please move ahead with your executive sessions, with the lawyer who had a week to read the agenda, with everything. Let's move ahead. Thank you.
Mary Robinson.
Good evening, Mary Robinson. I am a City of Wasilla resident, and I give up at least 2 nights a week, week after week after week, to advocate for libraries, for intellectual freedom. I have helped the Palmer Library with several of their events, and I am happy to do it. I was honored and pleased to be part of several of committees to build the new Wasilla Library, which is odd to say that because in September it'll be 9 years old. And I have pictures. I was a gap-toothed 3-year-old dragging my library bag behind me and looking through the books. And libraries are everything to me, just everything. And it just makes me heartsick when people attack libraries and attack library staff. And I won't even begin to repeat the horrible, malicious names that people have vilified the library staff that give of their time and themselves to libraries. And it just please move forward on the library. It was embarrassing to watch what happened here this evening. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt in that you were trying to do your best. When I leave here, I'm going over to the assembly and tell them to pad some extra money in the budget because they're going to have lawsuits rolling in at them over their ill-advised, misguided Library Citizen Advisory Committee and their Library Advisory Board. Please move forward on the Palmer Library. Thank you.
Jean.
Troshinsky.
Troshinsky.
Jeannie Troshinsky. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here representing myself tonight, but I have been the president of the Wasilla Friends of the Library since 2001. I had the privilege of, well, I don't know if it was a privilege, but whatever, of attending city council meetings 90% of the time from 2002 until our building was built in 2016. People, I hate to tell you, but that's what it's going to take. And I know you've been coming to these meetings, but you got to keep coming. Because for whatever reason, the hate-filled somehow gets heard way more than it should. Anywho, let me tell you a little bit about how you're connected to the Wasilla Public Library. The Monday after the library, your roof collapsed. We had 600 people at the Wasilla Public Library. We are open 4 hours on Mondays. The staff was beside themselves. They said, Jeannie, we didn't know what to do. The lines were everywhere. The need for the library has not gone away. It's increased. And you're kind of foolish to not get going on this because libraries are economic engines. People go to the library, and I'll tell you what, if they're going to the Wasilla Library, and they are, because I know people from Palmer that come there, people talk to us and tell us they're from Palmer and they're coming over there. They're shopping at our cars. They're paying our city sales tax. Get it together. Get a move on. Not only are prices going up, people, but so you are losing money by not getting this going. Every time somebody makes a trip to Wasilla, they're shopping at our Fred Meyer's. They're shopping at our cars. They're shopping at our little restaurants. You are damaging your own city by messing around with this. I know you've kind of been messed up with the whole thing with the insurance. I get it. There's complications. But this nonsense to not talk about, if you will allow people to accept a $5,000 donation, what is the problem? This is just absurdity. Really? We had to do a $250,000 fundraiser in 2 years to match our Rasmussen grant. We didn't know that was part of the whole deal when we applied for the grant, but we had to do that. We raised that money, but I'll tell you what, we accepted way more than $5,000 from some individuals and from businesses because we needed to do that or we wouldn't get the funding from Rasmussen. That's the way Rasmussen funding works. Your friends here at the Palmer Library are way ahead of this. They're doing an awesome job. Don't knock a gift horse in the mouth or whatever. The library's the best. Thanks.
Allison Collins.
Thank you. My name is Allison Collins. I'm an attorney with Dalrymple Law, which is a law firm here in the city of Palmer. And today I address the council in a representative capacity on behalf of a client. A client contacted me several months ago with a desire to make a significant donation to the city for use in the building of a new public library. It is my understanding that this donation would have been the largest donation from a private donor that the city has ever received. While many different charitable opportunities, both local, national, and international, were of interest to my client, they decided to make a contribution to the building of a new Palmer Public Library. They had a desire to see the positive impact their donation could make in improving this community. Since that decision, we have been working towards formalizing an agreement with the city under which the donation could be accepted and the terms under which such donation would be recognized and honored. A resolution was to have been presented for the council's vote this evening that would have formalized this agreement. However, two things have occurred which resulted in the resolution being withdrawn from the council's consideration this evening. I will address one of those issues this evening and address the other in a private letter to city council members. It is my client's hope that both issues will be adequately addressed, after which they will reconsider making the donation they had originally planned on making. One of the issues is that my client has become less than confident that this council really plans on proceeding with the building of a new library in any kind of timely fashion. When we started the process of formalizing a donation months ago, the expectation was that a request for bids would have been sent out by this time and that the old library structure would have been demolished, or at least a timeline established for when it would be accomplished. Neither of these things has happened. My client wants to donate to something that they can enjoy seeing the positive effect of during their lifetime. They do not have as many years left as they once had. My client asked that I let you know that if some real progress is not made soon, they will consider finding another cause to donate to, where the donation will immediately be put to work. It takes planning to make a donation of the size my client was prepared to make. Assets must be withdrawn from income-generating investments. This is not something that makes sense to do if the money is then just going to sit in a city library fund account for some unknown period of time. My client made an analogy which I thought was apt, comparing the process to that of buying a house. A person doesn't buy a house without very specific agreements as to when each step of the process will be completed. Buying a home is a large investment, and a purchaser needs to know what and when they will receive the fruit of their investment. The same thing applies here. My client plans on investing donating a large sum of money to this library project. In any other circumstances, it would be unthinkable for them to do so without specific commitments to a completion timeline. If the council does not start making good faith efforts to move forward on this project, it will continue to undermine my clients and other potential donors' confidence that any donations will be used in a timely and conscientious manner. I am aware of the issues that the council has been presented with in relationship to the library over the last couple of years. I am also aware of the overwhelming public support to get this project underway. If the council wants to continue to find reasons to delay, I'm certain you will be able to continue to find those reasons. However, I am equally certain that if the council wants to move forward, even if some variables may be unknown, that it can find a way to move forward. The longer the council spins its wheels on these issues, the more opportunities for fundraising will be missed. So, at the behest of my client, I urge this council to take decisive action regarding the construction of a new library. My client intends to revisit the issue of a donation to the project once the existing structure has been demolished, as that would be an indication to her that the city is serious about moving forward with getting a new building built. Thank you.
Prudence McKinney.
Good afternoon. I am Prudence McKinney, and I'm the current president of the Friends of the Palmer Library. And I'm here this afternoon to sort of hit the highlights of the last 2 years in terms of the community support that the Palmer Library has and continues to be grateful to receive. If you weren't around when all this happened, 3 days after the roof collapsed, which was on a Wednesday evening, the Friends had a previously scheduled concert that was on a Sunday, and they obviously didn't have a ton of time to prepare in terms of discussing the collapse of the roof or anything since it had just happened. But they did in that afternoon in a single concert, they raised $5,000, which again, for a community the size of Palmer, that's a significant afternoon. As time went on and the city contracted with Gary Wolf and his team to start working on the new library, community members turned out both to the various meetings that Gary held. They came into the library where he had posted informational boards to collect people's responses and gave all kinds of feedback to the library staff and to Gary Wolf and his team about what they wanted to see, about why the library was important to them, and what they wanted the new library to look like. And the fact that, I think it was Maggie brought this up, Maggie Obi, that seems to me keeps getting forgotten is, again, that 79% of Palmer voters voted for that bond. And, I keep hearing people talk about, fiscal responsibility, and we have to do this and we have to do that, and nobody wants anybody to be reckless. But I very rarely hear anybody say, yes, but nearly 80% of your voters voted for this and want the library project to proceed. As time went on and we had meetings and there were, all kinds of, this is what's happening and this is what your community wants, the Friends sort of kept hearing, well, there's lots of people who are outside of Palmer who are talking about how important the library is, and those are people outside and they're trying to, saddle the Palmer residents with some kind of an obligation that can't be fulfilled or whatever. So the Friends went out, this was over a year ago, and in less than a week got 250 signatures from Palmer voters and Palmer residents saying that, yes, they wanted, this was at the time we were discussing, would the library be larger or smaller or whatever. And in, again, like less than a week, we had 250 Palmer residents and voters who said, yes, we need a larger facility. Currently, the Palmer Library has approximately 8,500 active library card holders. Yes, many of those are from outside of the community. But just in case you're thinking, well, people get a library card and then they forget about it, those cards do expire if they're not used within 2 years. They do have to be used physically. So it is possible to have a library card that you've attached to your Libby account if you're an audiobook or an ebook person. That's currently not an active card. So that number, the 8,500, could be a little bit higher. Eventually what happens is Libby updates or something goes on and they get bounced out, and when they log back in, they discover their card's no longer active. They have to come re-sign up. But there are currently 8,500 approximately active library cards at the Palmer Library. Again, those are active. Those are being used. And people come in to sign up every day. And this one kind of astounds me, even though I am the president of the Friends, but in 2 years, the Friends have raised just about $200,000, which sort of shocks me as a person. And it's not like I did it personally, but for a community, again, a community the size of Palmer, that's a significant number. And again, that's telling you, that's coming in, sorry, did I cut off because I'm out of time? Oh, am I go? Okay. Okay. That's mostly in like $20s and $50 at a time. That's not big. We did get one large. We got a $10,000 donation, which was incredible, and we're super grateful. But that's like $20, $50 at a time from people consistently. So thank you.
So we made it through the first page of audience participation. We'll continue then after the new business. All right, next we have new business. Information memorandum number 25-001 has been postponed until May 13th, regular meeting. Action memorandum number 25-045, authorize the city manager to initiate a capital fundraising campaign for the Palmer Public Library construction. What's the wishes of the council?
Move to approve. Second.
So moved and seconded. Do we want to hear some from staff about this?
Yes, please.
Okay. Mr. Interim Manager, or
I would invite Mr. Hanson to come up for a staff report, please. With the approval of the city manager, of course.
oh, yes. Yeah, we have the right and left here.
So, hi, I am
Welcome,
Brad
Mr.
Hanson,
Hanson.
Director of Community Development, kind of the creator of this action memorandum. As you've heard from the public tonight, there's great interest in building a library in Palmer. The library staff and myself and former city managers have believed that the community feels the same way about it from a fundraising standpoint. And so what the proposal here is that we implement through the Community Development Department a capital fundraising campaign that tries to raise $750,000. That seems like a large number, but we think it's very achievable. Every library project, every museum project around the nation has programs similar to this. In your packet tonight is an example of the thresholds and the levels that people can donate to this project. It's a responsible thing to do for the community. It hopefully keeps bonding costs down. It shows wide support and contributes to the overall health of this community. The reason for the citywide policy that was in here, part of the citywide policy, which is an administrative policy that would be enacted and enforced by the city manager, and her ability to amend or change that would be her prerogative at any time, is because there's certain thresholds in that citywide donation policy that require any type of capital fundraising for a library to come to council, and that threshold's $15,000. And so that's why you saw the information memorandum for the city initiated, and then also this action memorandum allowing staff to begin the initiation of this program. So I'm willing to entertain any questions from anybody regarding the capital initiated library fund. I welcome.
Is there any questions from council? Councilmember Alcantara.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. Appreciate the aggressiveness of the 750,000. Is that number to be used as a match for a potential Rasmussen grant? Is that why the numbers match up evenly with the Rasmussen grant?
No, as a matter of fact, we had a 2-hour meeting with the Rasmussen Foundation today, and you know, while they certainly appreciate and expect the community to buy into a project of this nature, it's not meant as a match. One thing I would like to add to this citywide donation policy that was before you earlier, you know, the city doesn't have anything in code that allows the staff to accept it, donations. All across the city, there are projects that are initiated without any type of financial management from the finance department, their understanding. So what this does is it gives a structure and a process to be able to accept donations. The thresholds, I understand the apprehension about it. All directors have a financial authority of $5,000. Those numbers can be changed very simple. They're a function of the city manager's role as your chief administrator. And so I think the most important thing to think about when you see this citywide donation policy is just its applicability to everything that we do as far as accepting gifts. Okay, there's rules and procedures for staff across the board to be able to follow in order to successfully bring projects, things that people wish to donate to fruition. We had a playground a couple years ago with limited definition as whose role and responsibility it was to ultimately develop. I think with a type of policy that would be enacted, it would allow the city to more fluently deal with those situations in a very rational way.
Any other questions from council? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hanson. All right, so it's been moved and seconded. What do we want to do now with this action memorandum? Councilmember Hudson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion that we table this vote. We table a vote for the action until the May 13th meeting. Make a motion to postpone until the May 13th meeting so that the city manager and the attorney have a chance to review it before we vote on approving. Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Competing seconds. Okay. All right. So, Madam Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Councilmember O'Cantor?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Councilmember Cooper?
No.
Councilmember Graver?
Yes.
Councilmember Irby?
No.
Mayor Carrington?
Yes.
Councilmember Hudson?
Yes.
Okay. All right, next motion passes. Information memorandum number 25-002, city manager will provide information related to Palmer Public Library construction budget, funding sources, and financing alternatives. Now, I'm presuming this is interim manager Dementi. Mr. Interim Manager.
With the city manager's permission, we'll call Brad Hanson back to the stand, please. Or to the, for a staff report, please.
For a staff report.
So before he starts speaking, I would like to commend his efforts again on the going above and beyond in putting this together and for reaching out for all the different fundraising opportunities. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, thank you. You know, it's been a pleasure working on this project. One of the reasons why that I thought it important is that I am retiring on May 1st, and I wanted you guys to really get an understanding of where we were with the project, get the new city manager understanding where we're with this project. I think it's a project that needs to have definitive action taken on it and moved forward. So the first part of the summary is just some of the action that the council has taken over the course of after the collapse on February 15th, 2023. You've initiated a resolution sending a bond authorization to the people of Palmer, which they overwhelmingly voted in favor of building a new library. You've approved a contract with Wolf to start evaluating whether to replace, repair, or repair and expand our existing facility. You understood the implications of all three of those. You voted to pursue a new library. And so that's where we are. After that happened, and your understanding of the situation at that time, you elected to issue a contract with Wolf Architecture to design a 18,000 square foot building. In November or October, you voted to increase it by 2,000 square feet. Also, as an appendix in this memorandum is kind of the history of where this overall budget has been. as far as what the project looks like and expected funding. I put together a proposed budget. That's all it is a proposed budget. The city manager, again, has the complete discretion of determining where these funding sources come from, how they're financed, and any aspect of how this project goes forward. But the important thing of, I think, putting this forward to is we start to recognize the reality that this is an achievable project if we, put our head down and move forward. So as far as funding sources, the overall cost of the library is roughly about 18.5. That includes the architectural and the construction administration of the project, and some other incidental projects, okay? Some of the funding sources that we've received over the course of the 2 years since it's been collapsed is we're lucky enough to receive a state grant of $5 million in library insurance settlement from the Palmer Public Library. There should be roughly about $4 million towards construction of a new library. That includes contents, that includes the building itself. So that's kind of what we're looking at from our insurance agent. It's plus or minus a little bit. You did hear from the private donor this evening. We're still hoping to be able to receive that and satisfy all of their concerns. We've applied for 2 grants, one from the Matsu Health Foundation, one from the Rasmussen Foundation. Last week we got notification on the 22nd that the Health Foundation has agreed to fund $500,000 or donate towards this project $500,000. Like I said, today we had a meeting with the Rasmussen. They encouraged us to put a grant application in for $750,000. It was a great meeting. They understand the needs of the community. They understand what an operationally inefficient system we have going now with managing 3 different facilities, 2 different drop boxes, and using this as the kids area for story time. As I mentioned, the library capital fundraising campaign, we have set a goal of $750,000. We think it's achievable. The Friends of the Public Library have already expressed that they've raised nearly $200,000. They've done a great job of working to promote this project by putting on concerts, art shows, you name it. They have went over and above book signings to try to provide additional sources of money so it reduces the overall costs to the residents. The last part of this is sources of city funding. One proposal, and again, it will be up to the new city manager, is to recapture some of the capital expired funds, that projects that are not likely to happen, that have been either completed or won't be completed. In the case of the library, for instance, $190,000 was appropriated 2 or 3 years ago towards a courtyard concept. That money was never spent because soon after the collapse of the library occurred. So there's $190,000. There's $25,000 in that library capital account also for redoing the parking lot. From my perspective, if you want to maintain a manageable bond payment, you take a portion of your general fund and utilize that to keep your finance amount down to be able to meet the obligation long term. And so those are just some thoughts and some ideas. I just want you to be aware that there are some expired capital funds. As far as financing alternative, the city really has talked to 2 major players in this. The traditional source of funding for municipal bonds for general fund purposes is typically the Bond Bank of Alaska. They recently did an issuance in April. They don't plan on doing another issuance of bonds until later in the year, which timing is kind of an issue. Another factor with municipal bonds that are tax exempt is they have the 10% rule with them, like we ran into and up against in the MTA Event Center a number of times. And that is where if your private use and your private funding exceeds 10% of the overall budget, then that you lose your tax exempt status. And so that's a concern as well. The other source is when we were applying for a grant with Matsu Health Foundation, they also mentioned that they would entertain an idea of providing the financing for it. There are some issues with their financing. First of all, it's going to be a variable rate, which in this bond market may be a preferable thing, with municipal bonds kind of going up in the last 3-4 weeks, and hopefully they can stabilize and come down a little bit, potentially if insurance goes down. I did put a couple of amortizations of a $3 million loan on here just for reference, so you understand what the cost is of a program like this. It's, you know, between $240,000 and $244,000. I think in the city of Palmer's budget of, you know, $11 million, I think that's an achievable figure. The last page I have is attachment A, which is Wolf's design estimates through this project. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that we are very fortunate to have selected Mr. Wolf and his firm from the get-go. It's so beneficial for the development of this project to be able to run over to his office at any time and talk to him about concerns or ideas about how this project works. So I think, you know, one factor that I think we did completely right, that is select Gary and his firm. So I wanted to provide this information to you so you had it, so you're aware of kind of the overall concept of what a project of this size looks as far as its financial impacts on the community. And that's all, this all it is an informational memorandum.
Councilmember Alcantara.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, Mr. Hanson. Good work, as always, and I wish I'd have found out before last Tuesday that you were retiring from the city. I assume there hasn't been time to really thank you for your decades of service on council and your, I think, at least decade of service as a city employee and as a director. So I appreciate everything that you put into multiple projects and this one specifically. But when you talked about, and I know this is for kind of informational purposes and for us to think about, and the city manager to think about, but you know, we had a vote, been mentioned a couple times, 79% of folks voted to bond up to $10 million. I'm just curious, rather than the obvious of pay a chunk up front so your payments are lesser, did you think about I mean, we could easily move that to $5 million. It's not the $3 million is not a cap by either Matsu Health Foundation or the bond bank. That was just something you put in there as here's an example. If we decided to do $5 million, we could try to do $5 million with either one of those two sources.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, so just basically take about $72,000 and times it by whatever number you want to finance. Just, you know, it's kind of like that. So, yeah, I think it's just, you know, it's really a function of your operating budget and, you know, what you have available to you. And so, you know, I just think that, you know, you have $1.5 million coming back from the sewer and water fund over the next 5 years, you know, and so there's sources of revenue other than just financing it and obligating long-term commitment for this project.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to ask, since you were leaving, if you had a rough estimate of how much the building would cost a year to run and maintain, if there was an estimate put forward for that?
You mean an operational
yes.
cost? Okay, yes, I do, and we provided a very comprehensive overview of that prior to you coming, and I can make that available for you. It's actually less than what we pay to operate that one, if you consider the rents. You know, one thing about our current library is it was not only were we busting at the seams, but because library services have changed so much over the year, we just operationally were super inefficient. We didn't have any type of dedicated computer space like, you know, in 1985, that wasn't a thing. We didn't have the MLS like we do today, which is the, you know, the sharing of books and moving them around. we'd have no processing and handling for those books. And so with a new library that we're able to do is we can share books interdepartmentally or interlibrary-wise that will, you know, minimize the book costs and allow us to be able to process and shipping and handle. Another thing that's really changed over the course is, you know, libraries have become more of a central spot for meetings and tutoring and consultation with lawyers, unfortunately, and some of those things. And so, you know, just library services have changed so dramatically, and the functionality of that, the former building is just completely out of date. And so we'll gain efficiencies through our ability to operate better.
Mr. Mayor, if I may. So are you, if they were given the numbers for that, are you allowed, can you tell me the numbers for that then, right now, if you know it? The approximate operational cost a year?
So, off the top of my head, I don't.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Is there any other questions?
I mean, we could forward you all that report that we provided last July. And those were based on 24 payroll numbers. It anticipated upgrading 2 of our part-timers to full-time, and that was really the extent of the expansion of the library personnel.
Councilmember Graver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, you're saying that, you're saying that the estimate was given last July?
The 20,000 foot operational plan, or 20,000 square foot operational plan?
Yes.
I think it was July, August, when you had asked for it last time, and I provided it to you.
Okay, I'm just curious because, sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
All right, yes, continue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since then, we've had several design changes, so you're saying that doesn't affect the operational fee, or the operational cost, I'm sorry?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
You know, about 83% of all city budgets are payroll. And so the majority of our costs for any one of the departments is related to, you know, the people that are employed there. We did an energy audit, we did a staffing plan. You know, some of those expenses that are related to library services didn't change dramatically because they don't need to. We still need to have a budget for books of this, you know. And so those numbers didn't change, but what we're really concerned about is the energy audit part, additionally the personnel.
Thank you.
And by the way, that former library was super inefficient from a utility standpoint to operate. A new library with, you know, LED and energy efficiencies and all those things will reduce our energy costs even for a larger building.
Any other questions for staff from the council? Okay, thank you, sir. Next, we have part 2 of audience participation. Is it Heather Turnstrom? Got you next on the list.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. My name is Heather Fernstrom, and I will speak today about my support for the Palmer Public Library. But in writing this speech, I discovered that it's the library that supports me and my community. Libraries provide vital services to Matsu residents, such as access to books and newspapers, internet access, printers, copiers, even just a safe, warm, dry place that is freely available to all citizens. When I first moved to the Valley as a young professional, I lived at the end of Buffalo Mine Road. My internet was not reliable, and I had no regular access to a printer. You'd find me at the library, relying on those services provided. Libraries support families and childhood development through programming and services such as story time, arts and crafts projects, the children's area, and these amazing kits you can borrow. Did you know you can check out a telescope from the library? How about a microscope? I've done both with my kids. And guess what we saw? A saw-whet owl, and with the telescope, as you might imagine, and tardigrades, actually, with the microscope. We collected moss and found tardigrades, which are adorable microscopic little organisms that are affectionately called water bears. Anyways, a very neat, exciting opportunity that the library provided for me and my family. Libraries also support local businesses. Before the roof collapse, I could walk to the library from my house. I did this several times with my kids in the stroller. We'd make a day of it. After the library, we'd play outside, at the playground, or at the arboretum. We'd have lunch in town, or grab a snack, or a hot cocoa, or maybe even buy a book that we loved so dearly at the library. We went to the bookstore and bought a copy for ourselves. Libraries support reading and the joy of learning. We know that the library is much more than just books, but books are such an important part. There's a special joy in reading a book you truly love. Your kids know it. As soon as you turn the very last page, what do they say? Again. I want to thank all the Palmer librarians and the librarians across this state and the friends groups of the libraries. You are so valuable, and you are loved, and you are seen, and you are appreciated. Thank you. Please bring back our Palmer Library, a new building that addresses the needs of this growing, diverse community. Thank you.
Michelle Pavlik.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Pavlik, and as you may have noticed, I have a strong chin. That chin comes from years of carrying really tall stacks of books when I was a kid. And they were so tall I had to clamp my chin on top to hold them into place as I tried to make my way out of the library. Throughout my life, libraries have been always one of my favorite places to go. In elementary school, when I was homeschooled, the summer reading challenge thrilled me like nothing else. I found a great way to connect with other kids my age and get motivated to learn and to read. In middle school, when I started a new school, my siblings and I would go to the library to play computer games and hang out while we waited for my parents to come pick us up after they got off of work. That little in-between time that I'm sure many of you are very familiar with. In high school, I continued to foster a love for reading as a way to explore places and ideas that were much bigger and bolder than what I was able to experience in my little town. And of course, there's more. In college, I was wowed by these spaces and their dedication to learning and their superhero librarians who would guide me effortlessly to these brand new ideas. And then as I got older, I began traveling and would often find libraries as a place to land and get oriented, and saw them as a place where I could learn more about the culture of that area and how ideas were celebrated and made accessible in the everyday. Later, I became a Peace Corps volunteer and worked with community members in Mozambique to create a library to nurture some of those same experiences that I was privileged to be blessed by throughout my life. Experiences that feel like they should be central to the community in Palmer as well. Encouraging early literacy, providing community connections and support, giving opportunities to learn and expand your worldview, and is also acting as an expression of our community values, a clear example of our culture and our priorities. I believe that all of these reasons will reflect why we, through all stages of our lives, should support our own library here in Palmer. I stand with libraries, with librarians, and recognize them as pillars in our community. They're worthy of our time, our investment, our action, and I'm grateful for all the ways they have showed up and all the ways they have shaped me. Thank you.
Zach Pavlik.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Like many of those here today, I consider libraries to be one of modern society's proudest accomplishments and a fundamental pillar of our communities. It is nothing short of incredible that we choose to democratize knowledge and make information and education freely available to those who may not otherwise have the means to obtain either. One resident may be able to purchase a new book when the need arises, while her neighbor may depend on the Palmer Public Library for the same resource. The library is more than a sum of its parts. It takes an outsized role in a community by becoming an investment in the people of that community themselves. Librarians are remarkable souls whose mission reaches often immeasurably farther than just putting books in patrons' hands. I'm sure we all have a memory of a librarian that exemplifies this in our own lives. My wife and I moved to Palmer almost 2 years ago for a one-year job position. The vibrant, passionate, and most importantly, compassionate community here is why we have decided to stay. I believe that Palmer Public Library is a key part of fostering that sense of community, and it is an asset worth investing in. Thank you.
Christy Corbin.
Hi, this is Calvin. He's joining me today. I'm here to share how much it means to me to have a new library built. I was born and raised in Palmer, as was my husband, my father, and both of my husband's parents. I'm very proud and excited to raise my own baby in this magnificent town that he was born. Every Tuesday, my son and I walk down from our house on Bailey Hill to have breakfast at Turkey Red and get coffee, and then we go and attend baby book story time at the train depot. And while I'm genuinely grateful for the chance to have a stand-in for the library, it is not nearly the same. I find myself wondering if my son will grow up like I did, where my most precious earliest memories were that of going to the Palmer Library. That building, its books, and its people have always played such a huge role in my life, and I find it sad that the youth of our community only know a shadow of what a haven it could be. And if the public outcry from families begging for a safe place for their little ones and teens does not sway you to take action, allow me to list out a few of the absolutely crucial services provided by a library that our community has been starved of these 2 years. Libraries house a vast database of historical archives, free access to computers and internet, language and literacy tools, homework and tutoring help, community outreach programs, senior citizen programs and clubs. Most importantly, there's a safe space for everyone, including the most vulnerable in our community. Libraries offer a welcoming space for all, regardless of income, background, or education. There's more to list, but I want to be brief. This is not political. This is about the overall betterment of our Palmer. This incredibly beautiful town has a ghastly, collapsed building at its core, and I find it astounding there is even a debate about it. Fixing our beating heart should be the priority one, and it only gets more expensive to do so with every passing month. Thank you.
Jackie, go forth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Jackie Goforth. I want you to know that I sit here and listen to everybody talking about libraries, and I join them completely, but I want everyone to know that I've been to all these meetings, and I realize that the reason we don't have a library is because of the insurance settlement. It has nothing to do with the council. So the blame is being placed in a wrong place. Now, I want you to know something about misogyny. Misogyny happens to be the hatred and mistrust of women and dislike. But it can also manifest itself as many other things. It can be blatant, like violence, or it can be less obvious, like subtly perpetuating inequality between men and women. Someone with misogynistic beliefs, for example, might take men at their word while they dismiss or trivialize women. Kind of like when the librarian contacted Parks the manager and told him that the creaking in the roof was bothering her in the winter of 2022, and nobody did anything about the snow load. Now, for somebody who says I'm a conspiracy theorist, I'm batting 1,000, by the way, especially with masks and social distancing, et cetera, et cetera. And let's talk a little bit about the agenda today. You know, if you had run it by the attorney, then maybe you would have known, by the way, if somebody managed to get that really quick and take a screenshot of it, they'd know exactly who the donor is, exactly what they required, not letting their name out, exactly what is required to be done for that big donation. I'm not going to mention any of this stuff. I just want you to know that it's out now, and that might have even voided it. The other thing is, if you happen to read the police report about that executive session that has a police report, you would know that the former manager was a complete misogynist, exhibiting misogynistic behavior, but 2 city council members and a mayor allowed that. They allowed that. And I also want you to know that several of your department directors have said they will not work for a woman manager. I just want you to know that. I appreciate you being here, but I certainly hope we don't see a lot of insta-retirements. So for people who call me a conspiracy theorist, I please want you to know that I seem to know somewhat of what I'm talking about. And Mr. Mayor, I have something for you right now that I really need to give you. Thank you.
Kenda Hewling.
My name is Kenda Hewling, and I was born and raised in Palmer before it was the state, and I've lived here my entire life. I'm not in the city limits, but I am in Palmer, and I've used libraries my entire life. I don't know what the stalling is and why anybody would think that it was okay to wait 2 years to even get anything going after a roof collapse. Safety of the surroundings of the building that could collapse even further is something that could even happen, or have vagrants in it and that kind of thing. But the thing is that the libraries provide a lot more than just checking out books. It's a base to the whole society, and we don't want to have illiterates running our country, and we want to have everybody to have the same chance to get a hold of books and read and learn and use the internet, or some places don't even have internet available still in a borough. And I would say that I agreed with everything that was said by everyone except for the last woman that spoke. And I'd like to be on record for that. I think that it's time to get moving and do something about getting the library started and getting it done. It doesn't seem to me a reasonable thing to sit and wait on it any longer. And that's pretty much what I had to say. Thank you.
Wesley Arts.
Wesley Arts. First of all, we should have more city council meetings in this building where more people can be involved like this. The library, that is a hub of the community, both financial, it brings people into the downtown area. Yes, a lot of stuff, I know you guys have been like, let's wait for this person, let's wait for that person to do this, but we got to push on. The little bit talking about the administrative policy, you guys are the council. It seems like you guys can make an exception to any policy. You're the power that does that. So that could be pushed through if you guys need to. That's about it. But remember, it's a hub of the community, and the people have spoken. So.
Ashley Hutton.
Hello, City Council. Yes, my name is Ashley Hutton. I am here to voice support, of course, for the new Palmer Public Library. I am here as a Palmer business owner. I do not enjoy paying taxes, but I do it because I believe in community. I trust that the money that I contribute will be used for the betterment of our community and for all people in the area, and I am happy to do it if that is what my money is being used for. Please move forward as quickly as possible with this library. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? We've made it through the list. Is there someone that hasn't had a chance to speak? Sorry.
Yeah, my name's Timothy Bates, and this is the first time I've attended one of these meetings because I believe so strongly in the local library systems. I grew up in London, as you can probably tell from my accent, where we're proud of our local libraries. We're proud that they are part of a community and that provide services that are much needed. I have watched this community over the last 2 years struggling to manage a library building that is inadequate. It doesn't provide what this community needs. I, at the age of 14, believed so much in the local library communities, I became part of my local library staff. I worked with my local libraries till I was 30 and I moved over here. Between other jobs and everything else, I think that what the community needs is the services, the dedication, and the community provisions that a library provides. Now, that means being up to date. It means having the space. It means having the books. It means having the people. It means having the management. And more than anything else, it means having the support of the people who not only fund it, but provide the opportunity for that library to exist in the first place.
He's also an author, and he wants to donate one of his books to the library.
Hi, my name is Ruth Holbert. I don't have anything prepared today. I've been tag teaming with my coworker. There's only the two of us running the bookstore today, but we wanted to make sure someone was here because having a literate public is very important to our business model. The library is not our competitor. They're part of the foundation that makes it possible to sell books in Palmer. I came before you guys the first city council meeting after the library roof fell in. I dropped in just to say, you know, if we have to rebuild, let's take the opportunity to build something that we can really be proud of and that will serve us for many decades to come. And I still want to say that, but I also remember that meeting, I was sitting there and half the people talking were talking about banning books from the children's section of the library. And I'm sitting there thinking, those books don't even exist anymore. They're under a pile of snow and rubble, and this is what we're worried about. And I felt like that season was a very low point in Palmer's history. And the grief of losing the library was like the grief I remember when we lost the Matt Maid buildings, when the co-op burned down, when the warehouse burned down. We lost the chance forever to revitalize those buildings and make them still a part of the core of Palmer. And that core of Palmer, where we have thriving businesses on Main Street and we have civic buildings around the quad and everything all within walking distance, that's like the most essential thing that we need to preserve when we're talking about the history of this town. That's what this town is about, is that walkability, that core. And having a really good library back on the quad where it needs to be is such an important part of that. And I really hope that some year soon I'll be sitting in the new library, digging through the historical collection, looking out the window at the beautiful view of downtown Palmer, and that will be something that will last for the future. And I hope it comes soon, because it's been a couple years now of having this, you know, this building broken in the heart of Palmer. There was someone who said something earlier about that. I'm like, yeah, fix our broken heart here in the middle of town. I know the insurance yanked you guys around. I know there's a lot of things that make this a slow process, but it's time to get it done and make it good and make it count. Thank you.
Hello. Oh, I'm short. Good evening, City Council members. My name is Claire. I'm an avid library patron and community member, and today I'd like to take a moment to be a tour guide. Many people know the library for books, which makes sense. It feels almost synonymous. So I'm going to take a moment to list as much as I can about what else your Palmer Library offers to children, students, job seekers, business owners, seniors, parents, teens, educators, and other residents of Palmer and the surrounding area. Your library has music and audiobook CDs, playaways, which are audiobook MP3 players, digital audiobooks, which you can borrow through Libby online, as well as ebooks that you can borrow online. If you don't have a CD player, the library has a CD player you can borrow. What about DVDs, TV shows, movies, documentaries, classics, everything from big names to Alaskan Focus? No DVD player? The library has one you can borrow too. It also has periodicals. There's everything, of course, from the Frontiersman to ADN, as well as other local periodicals, but also a vast digital collection that your library card grants access to. Thousands and thousands of archived periodicals, everything from the New York Times to the San Antonio Light, which went out of business. So, other borrowables include things such as telescopes, people mentioned, microscopes, kids' activity kits, craft kits for adults, and more. But then let's go on to scanning, printing, copying public computers with internet and free Wi-Fi for you to use on your own devices. Why is this important? For job seekers, students, parents, or people needing to fill out government forms, court forms, job forms, or work on assignments. This is a phenomenal resource. In addition, the library has PFD and tax forms. Let's move on from that, though. The library is a hub of other kinds of information. It has resource directories for further education for people of all ages, to include languages, practical skills like car maintenance, job skills like typing and resume building, hobbies, heart handicraft skills, and more. You can find info on education and volunteer opportunities, health, housing, and jobs that are all local. The library has take-home STEM kits for kids, encouraging learning beyond the classroom, and programs. There is, of course, the amazing summer reading program that encourages kids to actively read in the summer months when there's usually a loss or stagnation of skill, but also weekly programs for crafters, kids programs for building, science, art, and skill workshops for adults. Lastly, the library is a space. That sounds simplistic, but think about the last time you went anywhere and you didn't have to pay a fee to get in or to exist there. Our community needs community spaces for meeting, for gathering, for learning, and for being. We're Alaskan. Most of us spend half the year indoors, and life has been getting progressively lonelier. The library is a community space, and our community has grown and continues to grow. It should reflect that and reflect our future growth. To conclude, the library is a community resource that builds up and supports all members of the community, regardless of social class or personal creed. If you don't think something is useful, then it probably might not be for your needs, but it is for someone in the community. The librarians have worked hard with what they have to support the community, even in the office space they've been in for 2 years, and now it's time to support them and invest in the community itself. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Penny McLean. Hello to the council and new city manager. I moved to Palmer in 2020, but my love of Palmer started before that when my daughter moved here 11 maybe. I don't remember when she moved here. I love Palmer. But before that, I love the library too. As a child, as a high school student, I worked in the school library. I went to Kenai Central High School. I worked 4 years in the library there. I worked in the summer for the Soldotna Public Library. The librarian at the Kenai Central High School got me through some of the roughest times of my life when my brother died, turmoil in the family. And the library, as you have heard from everybody tonight, except for one, is that safe space. And we need that. We also need to clean up our downtown. Library's sad, but also our Main Street. We're losing businesses like crazy. Nobody wants to come here if we look like this. This is a diamond. It needs to be repaired soon. I love the library. I have a library card, still good. So I encourage you to get past anything else and let's get this done because you have the community support. And I did vote for the funding for that library. Sorry, not a community speaker. Oh, one last thing. My late husband used to say, he taught for the University of Alaska for 47 years, but he used to say he closed down more libraries than he did bars. Just a little aside.
Good evening. My name is Shaylee. I'm a Palmer resident, voter, and an avid library patron. I go twice a month. The other 2 weeks, I go to Wasilla because his library is inadequate. I go with a friend. We meet up. It gets me out of the house because I work from home. It's kind of lonely staring at your own four walls. I've heard a lot of things here, and I support all of the library procedures. One thing I've heard a lot of is it's going to cost this building more the longer we wait. So let me throw some things at you. Escalation is 14 to 18% currently, and that's increasing when it comes to construction costs. And that's when the shovel hits the ground, not anything beforehand. General conditions, those increase. With your overhead and profit, what it costs to have someone on the job site with a shovel, with a hammer, with a jackhammer, with whatever they're using, that increases every year with cost of living. Costs have increased over the past few years. Conduit used to cost $50 a linear foot, and now it's $150 a linear foot. You have winter costs. You have operation costs you're paying to have the library where it is currently. And from what Mr. Wolf said earlier, and from the pamphlet, it's at $1.7 million in deductions for a $17.3 million budget. That's 10% in savings that you're looking at. All to say is the longer you wait, the more this building is going to cost, the less it's going to give. So I would really encourage the library committees, and I would encourage the council to not wait any longer, so we have a functional building that everyone can use, and all the taxpayer monies is not going to Wasilla like mine is. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, staff. My name is Herb Bischoff. I live here in Palmer, and I'm here to lend support to the library. It's hard to believe any member of the council would not be in support of a local community library, and I'm sure that's not the case. But one of the things that is really important for all of us, as you've heard by all the folks who have provided some input, is the incredible pride in the community that we hold. That means that we're here to support the library, which would be independent of others that would want to oversee it. We want you or the city of Palmer to oversee our community library. If you need to, I can offer you some reassurance just by the data showing that 8 out of 10 people here in the community voted in support of a $10 million bond. That's a pretty good percentage. And I think that's a percentage that should give you a little reassurance. To give you even more reassurance, less than half the cost of funding the library to build it will be borne by the city of Palmer. That's a pretty good deal too. So those are the economics of it, despite the fact that it's going to cost you. It's going to cost all of us. But I'm here to also assure you that I'm happy to contribute my fair share, as I'm sure everybody who stands at this podium is willing to contribute their fair share, as are the people who pay sales tax to the city of Palmer that are not residents, those in the 99645 zip code that pay sales tax for all of their online purchases, those who come to Palmer to shop to pay sales tax. Those are also people that are going to be contributing to the maintaining of this library and the building of it. So again, please take advantage of this and the benefits that the library will offer, and do goodwill for our community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Liz Jackson. I am a resident of the city of Palmer. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Welcome, Miss City Manager, to our beautiful community. I don't really have anything to add to what my fellow citizens have said tonight. I think my t-shirt says it. Let's build our library, the heart of Palmer. Let's get that anchor back. I mean, the depot's beautiful. We're really fortunate to have this building, but we need our library. And I'm just so proud of all my fellow citizens for coming out tonight and speaking eloquently, covering so many different facets that our library is for us. So we're giving you the task and really earnestly asking you to move forward with this project. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Bateson. You've heard from my husband, the British guy, earlier tonight. As you know, he's worked in libraries in London. I wanted to say that I've gone to our inadequate library that we have, and I ordered a diabetic cookbook. They had to order me in one from Sutton. It took 3 weeks for it to get to me. That is not good. It's not good. We need better than this for our community. I'm sure everybody else wants better than that for their loved ones. I mean, there's got to be better books on the shelf for everybody. And I just want everybody to have better. We need to move forward. Please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jordan Shabbat, and I'm here as a friendly neighbor from Wasilla. Normally I just listen to these meetings because I want the people who live here to have the loudest voice. So tonight I'm just here to amplify everything that was said tonight. There are some really good arguments made, and I hope that those will sway you in speeding up the process as much as you are able. I use the Wasilla Library all the time. I keep the library card in my phone wallet. It's actually the only not credit card that's in here. So I use the library often, and I actually have my friends from Palmer meet me there so we can use the study rooms and we can do meetings and work on business. So if you're wondering, I know people have said that they go there, but I would like you to know that weekly I have somebody come out with me to the Wasilla Library. And there were a lot of really good points, a lot of carrots, I would say, things that the city would want to move to. So I am just adding a little bit of a prod in the spirit of friendly competition. Wasilla has an absolutely beautiful library that I will show off to anybody. And echoing some people who spoke earlier tonight, you have a sign that says you are the best of Alaska. So I would challenge you, as Palmer, to represent Alaska well and listen to your people and make this place maybe a little bit better than the Wasilla Library. Then maybe we can get an expansion. Thank you.
Lee Henriksen, resident of the City of Palmer. Hi, Council. Hi, Mayor. Hi, new manager. Welcome. I was at the library today returning a book because I was able to get it. The library didn't have the book, but they got it from, I think they got it from Matsu College. I'm reading a book online right now from Libby. I regularly get books from the library. They had to pull one out of storage for me because I wanted it, but they've been really great at serving me. So I appreciate that service. I go often up to Sutton, and the library there is just gorgeous. I have friends who helped make that happen. You know, their meetings with, back then when you could use BP to help get you funding, and ConocoPhillips and all, they did a great job of fundraising for that library. And the Wasilla Library is great, and we can do that too. When I look at that library that was built in 1985 for a population half of what we are, and the population in our surrounding area was a lot less than what it is now, less than half probably, and think, we've needed something better for years, and now is our opportunity to seize it. And so you all have all the tools now to seize it and make it happen. So go for it. We're all rooting for you. Thank you.
I've been involved with the Friends of the Palmer Library for almost 18 years. I was on the board for 16 years. I've seen people come and go. I've seen
Can you give us your
librarians
name,
come and
please?
go. I've seen a lot of change. Oh, Janice Stormer.
Thank you.
And I've seen a lot of changes, but I've seen the same community togetherness and that same heart that we've all talked about tonight. And I wanted to bring up, when Prudence spoke about that fundraiser that happened after the roof collapse, I was working there as a Friends of the Palmer Library, and I had little children come up and pull change out of their pocket and say, I want to help build the library. Will this help? And I said yes. We need to keep that promise to those children. That's it.
My name is Kim Evans. Thank you for taking time to listen to public testimony tonight. Welcome to our new city manager. I'm urging you to move quickly to rebuild the Palmer Public Library. Costs have increased since the Palmer Library roof collapsed and will almost certainly continue to increase. The longer we delay, the more the library will cost to rebuild. City of Palmer voters approved $10 million bond to rebuild. State of Alaska gave $5 million. The Friends of the Palmer Public Library have been working hard to raise money, and there's clearly a large amount of community support with some significant donations. I personally have several friends and colleagues who have told me they no longer drive to the city of Palmer to go to library and then shopping. Instead, these friends and colleagues go to Sutton, Wasilla. Should we waste money due to increased costs by delaying rebuilding the library? Should we throw away financial donations because we delay rebuilding the library? Should we continue to lose spillover business from the Palmer Library by delaying rebuilding the library? Clearly, you've heard overwhelming testimony tonight from people who want this to happen. Please don't delay any longer. Please move forward with the rebuild with all due haste. Thank you for your time.
Is there anyone else for audience participation?
Good evening, Council. Welcome, new city manager. My name is Heidi Dedmond. I am the technology administrator for Palmer Public Library, and I'm speaking only for myself, but I'm going to try to get through this without crying. But libraries are about people, not about books, not about the internet, not about kids. It's about people. The people that we serve in this community every day. The people who come in who have needs that they would not get met anywhere else. Palmer Public Library is a reflection of the people in our community. The free services and information available at Palmer Library are tailored to our people. The other libraries have graciously picked up some slack since the roof collapsed, but it's taken a toll on them. It's been 805 days since the roof collapsed on our library building. That's 2 years, 2 months, and 15 days since people have had access to a proper library building in Palmer. Our staff is still serving more people than each of the 5 borough libraries, despite our temporary arrangement taking a heavy toll on our own patrons and staff. What kind of investment will you devote to serve the people who live in Palmer, who gather and shop and eat and play in Palmer, who love Palmer? Because libraries are about people. And I would like to thank my former library director, Beth Scow. I've been here. I worked for her for over 10 years, and she created a culture among our staff of empathy and compassion, and people have always been number one, our number one concern, our number one focus. We have learned how to bend things that can bend and change things that can change to meet their needs. And we've learned what needed to be solid in place. But she was the leader. She was the one who created that culture within our staff that continues on now that we have Joy Bailey as our new library director. I would like to thank her too for sticking around, because if she didn't, I wouldn't. We're a team. we're traumatized, we're tired, but we still love our community. We are still here to serve our community. And I would like to thank everyone who spoke, because it's a nice morale booster, because we have been called all the names, and I guarantee you we are none of those. So let's get moving and get something done, please, quickly. Thank you.
Is there anyone else for audience participation? Please come forward and start with your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, I was not on the list, I'm sorry. My name is Heather Dedmond, and I am Heidi Dedmond's daughter who just spoke. I also work for the Wasilla Public Library, and so that being said, I am speaking for myself, representing myself, and as someone who lives in Palmer, just over there across from the fairgrounds. And I just rushed over here from work, so that's why I'm out of breath. But I also wanted to speak in support of the new library and for the expedited process of building said library. Before I worked for Wasilla, my mom has worked for Palmer for longer than I've worked for Wasilla, and I have very good memories of being at the old Palmer Library, and I was very sad when their roof collapsed due to no fault of their own. So I would just like to say that I am in full support of this library being built and as quickly as possible, so that we can continue to create good memories for the future generations of Palmer, so that the library can grow and thrive along with the community. Thank you.
Is there anyone else for audience participation? Okay. We'll close audience participation. I might just comment, you may have noticed council members disappear and then come back. We kind of used that as a, you need to take a bathroom break, you can just go do it and come back, and keeps the meeting kind of rolling along. Although Councilmember Alcantara is flying out, so hopefully he will make his flight in time. Next, we have council member comments. Councilmember Irby, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'd like to start with welcoming our new manager. I look forward to working with you. As this is a meeting about the library, I mentioned in my application to get this position that I'm a very strong supporter of the library. Libraries are an opportunity for the community to have a positive interaction with the city. You know, you go to City Hall to pay bills and to complain, but libraries are a positive interaction. And as a boomer, I will never forget growing up that the Dewey Decimal System was our Google. So that's all I had to say. Thanks.
Councilman Graver.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This just seems really loud. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and making your voices heard. I feel more uncomfortable in this space in the depot, but I like that it fits more people and that we can hear from all of you guys. So thanks for coming out tonight, and it's a shame that not everybody could stay to hear the end. So I did also want to welcome City Manager Zirkle, and I also wanted to say that I have toured the current library situation, and I've met the librarians. They are people just like us, and they've gone through a lot, and I appreciate the work that they do and the courage that they have to still do their job when they have received a lot of negative comments from a lot of people. But I also think it says a lot that we didn't have anybody here today that is against the library and that doesn't want it to be built. And honestly, in the past couple of years of hearing from people, there's only been a handful that don't want the library to be built. Whatever the comments about the books are, everybody does want us to have a library, and I know all the council members up here want us to have a library, and I was actually, back when we were voting on the bond amount and the budget for the library, I was the tiebreaker for building a bigger library because I do think that's what the city needs, even though that is controversial. I worked with Gary Wolf. I'm on the library design committee, and I know we didn't really go over it today, which is unfortunate, but I've been able to see the design that we have. It's beautiful, and I will go as far as to say it's more beautiful than the Wasilla Library, and I worked hard to make sure that was the case. And, we have had a lot of difficulties holding us back. I'm really sorry it's taken this long. But, we're people too, and it's been a lot of back and forth with the insurance company and with, making sure everyone's happy with the design, which they're still not, which is, you're never going to get there. But I think we've reached a point where it's a happy medium and people are pleased with how it looks. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can go on the city website and see at least a picture of what the design will look like. I think that's still up there. Sorry, I just wanted to cover a bunch of different things. But I think every time that an agenda item has come forward on the library, we've taken action to move forward if it was in our power. And the only time that we didn't do that I can think of is when we had some changes made that were not approved by the council, and we had to decide what to do with that, and we brought forward, we had to wait a little bit to bring forward the people that were needed to uncover what was going on, and we even made a decision to keep an unnecessary portion of the design because we knew that if we took that out, it would set the library back for a longer time, and we didn't want to do that. I'm really frustrated with the way this meeting went in the beginning. I realize that not everybody has the same opinion about moving forward with a meeting, dependent on who's seen the agenda or whatever, and it was just frustrating because I know all the council members up here want the best for Palmer and for the city, and we all want to move forward on the library. We've just been burned in the past with making decisions. We've been chastised by constituents wanting us to be careful and to make sure that we have, the legal things straightened out before we move forward. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to be transparent, and we're trying to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row before we move forward. So I hope you guys can appreciate that. And again, thank you for coming out tonight. And I'm sorry that was pretty long. So I'm done.
Councilmember Hudson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to second what Councilwoman Graver said, except I wasn't on the board because I wasn't here yet. But I also accept the one time when there was an addition made to the library without council directive, which I believe did set the timing for everything back at least a month or 2 months. And, we had to figure out what to do with that. But other than that, there's never been a time other than this instance that we've purposely tried to move things along slower. We've passed through everything that you all have supported and asked us to pass through. When you guys have, asked us to do it. And I did my very best today through this entire day, to respond to almost every single person's email that that emailed the council or any of us regarding supporting the library. And I want to reiterate to all of the city of Palmer, just like I did to every single email that was sent to us today, that I do support building the library. I do support going to the library. I do support the librarians. I support the library. I've just asked that everything be done legally and that everything has gone through our legal counsel as needed. So I'm not sure why there's a thought that we've been holding this up, but everything that's been brought forward to us we've approved. So again, just seconding what Councilwoman Graver has said. So I also want to welcome our new city manager, and I want to thank her for coming on board in such a time as this. That's how I'll word it. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming out tonight, and I appreciate everybody for speaking. Thank you.
Okay. Alternate Deputy Mayor Cooper.
Thanks, Mayor. Madam Manager, welcome again. I'm glad you're here. I'm so happy to have seen all the people come out and support the library. It's been, I know that it's been out in the community, but we just haven't seen a lot of you at any of the council meetings. We've been sometimes inundated with some folks that are on the other side of the fence, and I'm overwhelmed by the number of people that have come out and have talked, and I want to thank you so very much. The library staff are phenomenal people. They have put up with a lot of stuff over the past couple of years, unfortunately, and they are resilient. They, if you look in the dictionary under that definition, you will see pictures of our librarians, and those that support them. My hats go off to you, ladies. Thank you very much. As the library director, Joy, mentioned, before the collapse, so we have approximately 110,000 people that visit our library. We're down to 36,000. You can only imagine what's going to happen when we build a new library. We're going to be, it's not just the folks that are checking out the books or getting, periodicals or whatever. It's going to be meeting rooms, and so my guess is, we will be pushing 150,000 people a year, which is absolutely amazing. And those people, as was mentioned, do come into town and do spend a lot of money up and down the streets. The other issue we have to do is fill the buildings that are empty, with businesses. But that too will come. And again, thank you folks so much for being here. Kind of a final note, a longtime friend of mine, Brad Hansen, is retiring 1 May. He has 32 years of service to this city. Started out, planning and zoning commissioner, moved on to the city council forever, and community development coordinator. And besides that, he's a football coach, a hockey coach, just all kinds of stuff. Community development director. Just amazing amount of stuff. Brad, you've done an amazing job for this city, and I appreciate the fact that you've been here for so long and done so much. Your knowledge and dedication to this city is unparalleled, and so thank you, and my hat's off to you as well.
Well, I too want to welcome our new manager, Colby Zirkle. And I should confess that I was part of the problem. I had heard that Councilmember Alcantara couldn't make this meeting, and so I brainstormed the idea of trying to have it early, which then made it so someone else couldn't attend. So next time I think of such a thing, I'll not do it. And then I just remind people, coming up this weekend, there's a car show over at the MTA Event Center, the Ice Arena, and the Airmen's Association is happening this weekend at the fairgrounds and at the airport. And then also here on May 12th, we're having a meet and greet for our new city manager. So put that on. I don't recall the times, but we'll be advertising it. And we're adjourned.